Welcome to the Veterans Archives podcast, where we honor our nation's veterans by preserving and sharing their stories. You can also hear Veterans Archives on Wreaths Across America Radio every Thursday at 5 p.m. To learn more about our mission, watch veteran interviews, or find out how to record a veteran story, please visit veteransarchives.org. And if you or a veteran you know needs support or resources, we encourage you to download the Battle Buddy app from vetlifetoday.org. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. We're talking with Jerry Ockert, who served in the United States Army. Good afternoon, Jerry.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me in your home today.
Thank you for inviting me to do this.
Absolutely, you're very welcome. We're going to start out with just a simple question. When and where were you born?
I was born on September 9th, 1931, at our farm home in Grand Traverse County.
Okay, so you're up north then.
We had in the postal service of Kingsley. It's about 15 miles south of Traverse City.
Okay.
I went to a 1 through 12 school, parochial school, Catholic parochial school. It was just 2 miles. And the first year, we had no busing. We walked to school.
No matter what the weather, right?
No matter what the weather.
Yeah.
And 2 miles was a long way for a little guy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I can remember one storm. I don't know if you want these kinds of things. I can remember one storm during that first year. It was so bad that my father, with a horse and sleigh, came to the school and picked us up. And all of the other children that lived in our direction, children that couldn't find a way home, stayed in the school.
Oh, my.
It's funny how something like that will stick with the memory, even when some other things vanish.
The memory's a funny thing. So tell me, you came from a big family. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
There were 13 of us. A 14th one died right after birth.
Okay.
But anyhow, 7 boys, 6 girls. And there were just 3 children younger than I. Mm-hmm. So some of the older children were already gone before my memory picked up.
Yeah.
We never had enough room at the table. But we had a big table. And we ate well, being on a farm, even though this was, I guess, maybe following, right, immediately after the Big Depression. Being on a farm, we grew most of what we ate. Meat and potatoes, vegetables. Mm-hmm. And every fall, we butchered a beef and a number of hogs. And farmers learned how to store certain produce to keep it reasonably well during the winter months. I can remember that my father and older brothers would dig somewhat of a pit, not very deep, a couple of feet deep, and then store potatoes in there. Mm-hmm. And then cover it with earth and straw first, then earth, and avoided the frost I should say, guarded against the frost. And some of those kinds of things then would still be available in the spring. Most of the potatoes, though, were stored in the basement of the house. Unfortunately, over time they start sprouting and so on. My mother canned a lot of food, including the beef that we butchered. The pork that was butchered was packed in salt in wooden barrels, and that preserved it for a long period, all winter.
No big freezers or anything like that.
No
It was all,
freezers.
yeah.
And in fact, there was not even ice delivery for, in the early years, we did not have electricity.
Yeah.
And my earliest memory, we had a telephone fastened to the wall, but we had no electricity. Therefore, we had kerosene burning lamps in the house and lanterns in the barn. And in fact, about a couple of years ago, I sent an antique lamp that was about, chimney rose about 3 feet up to my son in Japan. He wanted that from our belongings. So anyhow, let me come back. So after I graduated from high school, and there were only 6 graduates in my senior year, in the 10th grade there were 22 of us. But in those times, remember that the Depression was just finishing.
Right.
So the boys were dropping out of school as soon as they legally could, getting a job. Some of the girls were getting married. So our classmates diminished in number until only 6 of us graduated.
Was it important for your parents that you have an education?
Yes, it was.
So they made sure that you were going to finish school.
And education was so important to them that if I got into trouble at school, I had to account to my parents also.
Did that keep you out of trouble most of the time?
Most of the time.
Yeah, I can see that.
And my father was a rather strict disciplinarian. Fair, but strict.
You knew what the rules were, right? And what the consequences were.
My mother was a little more gentle, compassionate, I guess, is the proper word. So I knew that if I wanted to ask about something, I weighed the options.
Right.
What's my father going to say? What's my mother going to say? Maybe I should.
So you had to ask the right person the first time out, right?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You improve the chances of
Yes.
success.
Yes. So you made it through school, all in the same building, the same schoolroom, right?
All in the same building.
Yeah, yeah.
And number of rooms.
Okay.
I don't remember the early grades.
Yeah.
But the number of students was probably large enough that every grade was separated by itself.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
And we were taught by the nuns in the Catholic organizations. And they were strict.
I was going to ask, are those stories true? Like, I mean, they were pretty strict on you, weren't they? The
They were.
nuns? So you had it at school and you had it at home. Like, there was no getting away with anything.
I can remember the nuns wrapping my hand with a ruler. So,
I've heard those stories, so they are true. Yeah. So what happens after graduation then? You graduate?
after graduation, of course, I had a decision at that point. And the first one was, what am I going to do for income?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one of the winters following my schooling, I and a couple of others, one of which was my brother, my older brother. By the way, he graduated with me.
Oh.
So we were entering the workforce at the same time. Drove to Grand Rapids and took employment there in a factory that was making gas cans for the Army.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen those 5-gallon cans that they strap onto Jeeps.
Yeah, the big, what do they call them? They called them jerry cans, didn't
I
they?
think so.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Named after you?
pardon?
Were they named after you or no?
Probably not.
Yeah, so the big gas cans anymore.
But anyhow, and only a couple of times during the winter months did we go home. Because, of course, well, we did have, my brother had a car. He was 2 years older. But, and driving before I was.
Now, did you and your brother live together then?
Yes. And there was another one or two guys.
Okay.
We all went to a rooming house
Yeah.
there. And we had a place where we could get breakfast and an evening meal right there at the rooming house. And that worked out well.
Yeah. Now, how long did you work there?
I think it was just one winter.
Okay.
And in the summer, I felt somewhat obligated to help my father and the family on the farm. And I, so-called sharecropper, I worked with him and for him, but I then also leased some land from a neighboring farmer and grew a crop or two for myself.
Okay.
For eventual income. And we, at that time, we had no tractor.
So you're using horses and a plow?
No, let me back up.
Okay.
I think we had a tractor before I graduated from high school.
Oh, okay.
Because one of my brothers, who was 4 years older than I, was in service, and he sent money home and intended to buy a tractor for the farm family. And we did. Prior to that, on some occasions, we borrowed the tractor from one of my brother-in-law's husband of one of my older sisters.
Okay.
And but other than that, we did our farming with horses.
Wow.
And I can remember at about the age of 11, I was cultivating with one horse in the cultivator. And as we neared the noon time, in my mind, it was not yet time to quit for dinner. In the horse's mind, it was time. The horse started to cross the field and I couldn't stop.
Yeah, horses have those habits, right?
Oh, yeah.
They know when it's time to eat.
The horses were, let me see, 1,500 pounds or more.
Yeah.
And of course, the only control you have you have a bit in their mouth attached to reins. And if you're not strong enough to stop them, they do what they want.
That's true. Well, and you were 11-year-old kid, so that he was going to go have his dinner. So when you came back to the farm after working in Grand Rapids, how long did you stay at the farm?
I think, let me see. One of my brother-in-laws, the same brother that loaned us the tractor, worked at the Traverse City State Hospital. He said, Jerry, I think they're doing some hiring. Why don't you try that? And so I did, and I got in. So I was working as an orderly. Now, I don't know if you know anything about state hospitals in the early years. Patients were there for all kinds of reasons. I won't go into that.
Yeah.
But some of my experiences there were, I was involved to a small degree in giving electric shock treatments to patients. And there were only a couple of times that I did a day or two in a, tuberculosis ward. It's significant only that when I started teaching later on, my chest x-rays they were giving skin tests for tuberculosis. And I had a positive reaction.
Because you had worked there.
I think even though we wore masks and all that. So I graduated in 49, and in 52, I was drafted into service. We were still in the Korean War.
Right.
And our classmate was drafted at the same time, same group. We ended up going to Aberdeen, Maryland, for our 8-week basic training. While there, he became ill and went to the hospital. He was gone 2 weeks. Well, when he was released from the hospital, he went to a different company to get into the proper rotation. So he was out of my company. Now, when I finished basic, I was sent to a 10-week ordnance training school program. And when he finished basic, 2 weeks later, his company was sent to Korea. We were still in the Korean War.
Right.
When I finished my 10-week training, I was fortunate enough to be sent to Europe. And I say fortunate in that you have no control of it.
Right.
So while in Europe, I was at Kaiserslautern. We came into a port. I think it's called Bremen. But then dispersed to wherever you're going. And I went to Kaiserslautern. We had wonderful billets, barracks there. We were in the midst of the Marshall Plan of rebuilding Europe after World War II. World War II ended in 45. This was like 53. Well, late 52. So, in in our battalion's responsibility was the maintenance of vehicles, small arms, all of those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And the vehicles were, on a rotation basis, brought in and inspected, and any needed repair was done. Put back out storage in the woods.
Uh-huh.
I was fortunate again, and they wanted somebody that could type. I happened to have had typing in high school. So I think that was the only time I volunteered. Yeah.
Yeah, they teach it pretty early on. You should never
So
volunteer,
I got
right?
into an office.
Uh-huh.
I spent my entire, 7 months in Germany. Then our battalion, all of us, were sent to Nancy, France, which is some distance away from Paris. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, and we were there for 9 months. And I was in the office all the time. I was requisitioning small arms parts, automotive parts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we were rebuilding, we still had a lot of people in Europe, correct? We still had a lot of service members in Europe.
Many
Yeah.
people. I have no idea. Yeah. But the Marshall Plan was a big thing for Europe.
Right.
And periodically, we would go on, I can't even think of the proper name of it. We would go on alerts where the signal was sounded, everybody had their essential materials already packed. We got into company vehicles, went out and drove somewhere. Someone was leading us.
Uh-huh.
And then we would bivouac out there for a few days. And sometimes it got very cold in Germany. And in Germany, I said we had very nice barracks. In France, we had 12-man tents.
Oh.
And with snow and all that kind of stuff. Now, those 12-man tents had wooden floors and sidewalls that came up, wooden sidewalls came up 4 feet, and then a big tent over there. 2 coal-burning stoves in there. Therefore, someone had duty.
Had to make sure those stoves stayed lit, right?
That's right. Keep those stoves burning in the winter. But all in all, I had good duty compared to people that went to Korea.
Yeah.
One of my older brothers, 2 years older than I, was drafted also, and he did go to Korea. Fortunately, he was trained to be a cook. Therefore, he was not on the front lines. He was back away. The oldest brother, the brother that sent the money home, no, he was not the oldest brother in the family, but the oldest one went into service. I think he went into service about 1945, and I don't remember what all of his duty was, but I do remember that he went to Japan and he had guard duty guarding the palace where Hirohito stayed after World War II.
Oh.
Who was the Emperor of Japan during the war. Well, back to where we were. So in late 1953,
Mm-hmm.
I was headed home. And the troop transports of those days were not so great. I can remember every day I tried to go on deck just to, well, I don't know if you've ever seen the underside of those troop transports or pictures of them. We had just canvas bunks,
Uh-huh.
and they were about 8 high. And the entire ship was troops.
Yeah.
And so a buddy of mine was seasick for that entire trip back to America. And the only thing he ate most of those days was some bread that I brought him from mess hall.
Oh, no.
And of course, the ships were not very large, and they were very responsive to the waves.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the day, my ankles were so hard. Stay standing straight while the ship was doing this.
Yeah.
And there were times, I remember one time in the mess hall, somebody let go of their tray and it went down, just went right down, slid away from him. So you hung on to your food tray.
Yep. Hang on your tray with one hand and eat with the other hand, right? Yeah.
Right. And I was on the rifle team while I was in Europe.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember where. But, and I enjoyed that. We had some good competition with various companies stationed there. So what I said earlier about having lost some of my hearing capability because of guns, way back on the farm, then in service, all the way through life, I've been associated with, to a small degree, with the use of guns.
Yeah.
You know, my father and brother taught us how to use them safely.
So when you got in the service, it wasn't like an unknown thing to you.
No.
Yeah.
Now, something I left out that maybe I should bring in at this. When I was 3 years old, I threw a bottle in a rock in our backyard. And, of course, it shattered. A piece of glass flew into my right eye, and it cut the cornea. So my vision in the right eye is very limited, straightforward. I couldn't even count fingers on that eye, but I do have some peripheral vision. In spite of no vision in that right eye, I was drafted. This is the Korean War. Everybody that was available
Right.
was subject.
Right.
Now, in terms of my participation in shooting activities while in basic training and so on, prior to the Army, but then also in the Army, I shot left-handed so that I could use my left eye on the sight. And, you know, when you consider that here you have a row of soldiers firing weapons, maybe even lying on the ground, and everybody's right-handed except this one guy.
You were messing everything up.
Unusual. But I was accustomed to it because I grew up.
Right. Yeah.
The only disadvantage I had, shooting left-handed, is all of them were bolt action on the right side.
There were no left-handed rifles, were there?
I think now you can get one specially made.
Right, right.
But anyhow, I was telling that to someone a while ago, and they thought it was unusual that I would even be drafted.
So you get on so you finish out your tour in Europe, and you're on a troop transport. We were talking about that. How long was that ride back?
Yes.
So a couple of weeks.
And it was December that we were coming back. So we came back to the New York harbor. I don't remember just where, but the day before Christmas, I woke up and a train was sitting still. Everybody wants to get home.
Right, right. And you're on the train from New York to Michigan then, or?
Yeah. Train from New York to Chicago.
Right. Yeah, you had to go through that.
So we did get moving and so on. But anyhow, we got into Chicago Christmas Eve. And we got word that, excuse me, we got word that they could process us in 4 hours. We'd be out of there. So I called home. My family drove to Grand Rapids, and I would fly from Chicago into Grand Rapids. And it was Christmas Eve night time when they met me in Grand Rapids. Now, I was not discharged. I was only given a leave because of the holiday. There was 10 days or whatever. So my father and one or maybe more of my brothers came down to me.
Was it nice to see them? Yeah.
And of course, you know, from overseas, telephone calls were not very frequent.
Right, right.
But anyhow, at the end of my leave, I went back to, I forgot the name of the camp in Chicago, where we were then discharged.
Okay.
And late January, I was discharged.
So you came back to Michigan after you got discharged then?
Came back to Michigan.
Okay.
Because I was employed by the state of Michigan when I was inducted, that job opening was held for me. And I was entitled to it when I returned. And I did go back to it. And so I once again lived at the farm and helped there to a small degree, but I drove and I immediately bought a car.
Yes.
Drove into the job, and it's only 15 miles. But, and then somewhere along the line, and of course, by this time, I am a little ways into my 20s.
Right.
Entering the 20s. And so the two younger boys in the family, the three younger than I, two of them were boys. They were pretty well handling all the farm activities. So I moved into Traverse City and continued working there. And I was, the state hospital probably contracted some student nurses from Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit came there for their psychiatric segment of their training. So I'm dating some of those girls.
Of course.
And but then somewhere along the line, I got smart enough to realize these girls aren't going to cast their lot with me because I have a dead-end life plan.
Right.
And they're going back to something better. So I better make some choices. That's when I decided I need to go back to school and choose a vocation. So I first of all, well, I was always a big U of M fan. As a boy, I used to listen to their football games on the radio. So I was mad. So when I decided on an education, the school that came to mind, U of M.
Of course.
I scheduled an interview there, went down there, and they kindly led me to the point of, you've been out of school 6 years now. You have some catching up to do before you're ready for college.
Yeah.
And they said, you really ought to start out at a 2-year school and do some planning and then work your way into a position where you can choose a vocation. And then
So at this point, you weren't sure what you were going to do. You just needed to go to school, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I enrolled at Mott Community College in Flint. I had an aunt and first cousins that lived in Flint, and I could stay with them. And I had the GI Bill to gain some income for education. And so I went there for 2 years. After 2 years, because I had some catching up to do, I didn't have adequate credits for an associate's degree, which is normally granted after 2 years.
Right.
So, after 2 years, my father had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I decided that I would go home, stay with the family, help them through that tough time, and be of whatever value I could to them. And there's a community college in Traverse City that I could go to, and I could get a job somewhere, create some income. So my older brother, one of my older brothers, was able to steer me to get a job, a meat packing plant. And so shortly after I got home in the spring, I never did throw out a day. I think I went to Flint in 55.
Yeah.
And then I would have been back home 57. Maybe I'm off a little bit.
Oh, that's fine.
Anyhow, I was home for a summer, a full year, and then the summer again before I re-entered education. And after that first summer, my father died. And, but I believed that I still should stay and assist the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I continued to work at that meat packing plant. I was involved in butchering. Well, not in butchering, really, but in cutting up.
Right.
And going to school. Mm-hmm. And so I did get an associate's degree from there at the end of that school year. Then, of course, it was a matter of the next step.
Right. You've got your associates now. What are you going to do?
So I applied and was accepted. Conditional is not the right word, but it's the right description.
Right.
Because of poor grades.
Yeah, you were like on probation, academic probation.
Probation,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
At Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo. Okay. So I went there, and because I was on probation, and in my first semester there, I did not maintain C average, so I was dropped from school.
Oh, no.
So I immediately needed to get some income because, of course, my GI Bill dropped.
Right.
But it was reaching the point of near exhaustion, anyhow. So I got a job at one of the two local hospitals in Kalamazoo. And Bronson was the second one. I got a job at Borges. They had student nurses.
You and the nurses, Jerry.
So I was there as an orderly, sometimes working in the emergency, sometimes working in the orthopedic ward. And I go into the hospital here, you see all of these beds with the name of Stryker.
Yeah.
I worked with Dr. Stryker.
Oh.
And at that, one of the unique things that he developed was the circular bed for patients burns, and other kinds of injuries. And it was probably about a 7 or 8 foot circle on each side of the bed. And they were put, and you could fasten the patient to the bed, bring another bed down on top of it, and then roll it over 180 degrees, and you have turned them.
Right. So you don't have to pick them up and all that. You can just turn them.
Take them out.
Yeah.
And that was in the burn unit. But in the orthopedic unit, there were sometimes with spinal injuries, the doctors would need to extend the head, take the pressure off the spinal cord.
Yeah.
And that meant it was cancer to the head. Sometimes you could do it with a net or something around the jaw. But sometimes it actually would anchor into the skull. And I worked with doctors in those instances.
Wow.
So it's quite an experience.
I guess.
Anyhow, so I was out of, after that drop from Western, I was out of school some minimum amount of time. And then I re-enrolled, was accepted again, was again on probation. and I continued working.
Mm-hmm.
But my class load was relatively small. I don't even remember what it was. And I continued part-time in school and full-time work. And once again, those student nurses were my downfall.
Uh-huh.
And I met one which I married.
Yeah, so so tell me how you met your wife then.
Pardon?
So tell me how you met your wife.
Okay. As an orderly at the hospital, there were some times that I would give oxygen therapy treatments, and there was a whole staff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, that took me to different floors. And especially at night, much of the staffing by the hospital staff was done by student nurses.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you communicate, and sometimes that leads to more friendly relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, when you get for a coffee or a Coke in the morning when you get up,
Right.
that sort of thing. And so anyhow, Kathy and I dated for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was getting pretty serious dating when relationship
Mm-hmm.
by the time she graduated. And I was still quite a ways from graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyhow, when she graduated in the fall of 62, I asked her to marry me.
Uh-huh.
And we set the date of December 29th because I would be on vacation from school. And so when she graduated in September, she then took employment with the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then in December, we did get married in Sand Lake, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Her home was Cedar Springs, just 5 miles away. And one of my brothers was my best man. 2 of her classmates were part of her bridal party.
Yeah.
And 2 of my very good friends there at Western were part of my
They were your groomsmen?
groomsmen.
Yeah.
No money, no time. We didn't have a honeymoon at that point. So together, we had saved enough money that we took a honeymoon the next 1 year later.
Okay.
And we went to Niagara Falls.
Oh, that was the thing, right? In the 60s, everyone went to Niagara Falls,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I hadn't even been to Tequaman in my life. So anyhow, we enjoyed that. And then we continued, Kathy working in the hospital. And after we were married, I stopped work. And then I focused strongly on advancing.
Now, had you determined what you wanted to get your degree in at this
I
point?
did.
Yeah, so what was that?
When I left Mott Community College, I made the decision that I want to go into education.
So now you had a goal in mind. Yeah.
teaching was my goal.
Okay.
And because of my nature, physics and math were very attractive to me. So I majored in physics, minored in math.
Well, here's a guy that's on academic probation 3 times now, and you're taking some pretty tough classes, Jerry. So that's no joke. Like that's real school.
Well, I think an explanation for that path
Uh-huh.
is this. Until I got married, I really didn't have a firm goal in mind. But anyway, well,
Marriage will do that to you. Marriage will make you think about goals, won't it? Yeah.
yeah,
So then how
gotta
much?
have a little more commitment.
Right. So how long
So-
were you at Western then, or did you stay at Western?
So I graduated in '64
Uh-huh.
and started interviewing right away. And some of the schools I interviewed at were Montrose, Flint. I made up my mind, I'm going to Flint. There's police in the hallways.
Right.
It was, even though it was $1,000 more per year than where I did settle. But I did take a contract. I signed a contract with Portland,
Okay.
Michigan,
Yeah.
and physics and math. And the math that I was teaching there was trigonometry, geometry. I had 1 year of solid geometry, which was a little more advanced than geometry. Algebra, seems like I had trigonometry was the highest that I
So you started teaching in 1960?
19.
It was
The
1970.
fall of 1964.
Okay. All right.
And
So you were 33 then. So you were a little older than some newer. So like when I was in school, the newer teachers were always like really young right out of college. But you're probably a little bit older than some of your peers then.
And of course, two things that accounted for that were I was out of school for 6 years before I went back. And then, while working on my bachelor's, I was moving so slowly that time passes.
Yeah. Well, you were taking care of your family too. So you had a lot going on.
Now, yes, then shortly after our marriage, within the first 6 to 12 months, something like that, we realized that we were not going to be able to have children. So, after the first year of teaching, during the first year of teaching, we decided if we're not going to be able to have children and we want some, we'll start adopting.
Yeah.
So, because Portland is in the Grand Rapids Catholic Diocese, then the Catholic Social Service for that diocese was in Grand Rapids. So we're driving over there for the preparation meeting. And at that time, adoption was not easy. I don't know how many meetings we attended, quite a few. And they were originally group meetings. But then as you get near the end, they're individual couples. And we had one couple that was in the group meeting. she became pregnant before they reached the conclusion of the meeting.
Oh my gosh.
So, something going on.
Right. Right.
Well, anyhow, so our oldest child was born in June of 65.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to us, I think he was about 4 months old. It's funny. There's a number of people said to me, "Oh, he looks so much like you." They didn't know he was.
Well, right. Unless his mom was a student nurse.
And I said, "Geez, they did a great job of matching."
Yeah. Oh my.
So then in 66, well, the first one was a boy.
Uh-huh.
Second one was a boy, 66. And then with two babies, they would better slow down. Not they still has to work.
Right. Right. And you're teaching, so there's a lot of stuff going on.
So the third child, a girl, was 2 years separation. And then, and she was such a doll. And, you know, even the local photography studio there, they won an award as the baby of such and such, the month or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we decided we do want to get another girl.
Mm-hmm.
So that Carolyn has a sister. And then adoption was getting more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Now Carolyn came to us in 68. So babies were either not that available
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know for sure. Anyhow, we had no opportunity for a while. But anyhow, eventually, social services called us and said, "We have this baby that has been in foster care for quite a while and has been diagnosed or evaluated, is a better word, both physically handicapped and mentally handicapped." Kathy, with the motherly instincts, persuaded me, yeah, we should do this. And so Jennifer came to us in 70.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. She was born in 70. She was nearly 2 years old when she came to us.
Oh, okay. So 72 she got to you?
Yeah. And before she entered kindergarten, the mental handicap designation had been eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
But she still had some physical.
Yeah.
But during the elementary years of school, she was one of our better students.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, were you still teaching? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
that really says something for environment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyhow, I'm still teaching.
I know. Are you at Portland still at this time?
Yes.
So you've been there for about 8 years then? 72?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I changed directions with my career.
Oh.
But I have to jump back to the first year there.
Uh-huh.
I signed my first contract at Portland for $1,650 per year. There were no negotiations.
Wow.
At that time. Just the principal or whoever was doing the interview would make an offer. But it was a school environment that I felt would be fine for me. And so Kathy was still working. She then, once we got into Portland, she took a job at the hospital in Ionia, which was the state capital. And she would work on weekends because I would be home.
Right.
And that worked out, but times were, especially as to bring the children,
Right.
the illnesses and so on, you go with that sometimes. Anyhow, the home that we were in Portland had fuel burning heaters. And they would not allow us to bring a child into that environment. So we moved to a home in Ionia for 1 year. And then we were able to find a different location in Portland.
Uh-huh.
And so then we moved back. During the first year that I was there, I was, of course, looking for added income. So one of my fellow teachers said, Jerry, if you go over here to Michigan State, you can take one course and be approved to teach driver ed. So that summer, this is after my first year, I went over and took that course, went back and taught it that summer. And liked it so well that the next summer, I enrolled in a math course and driver ed. And the math was so tough. I said, Jesus, this is so easy. I dropped the math, and that convinced me. Switch to traffic safety education. And I did. So then, summers and nights after school, I would commute to MSU. And I got a master's there and an ed specialist in traffic safety education. And in 1972, and this was like 8 years in Portland, I convinced, I left something out there to put in. That is, in 1966, the state of Michigan passed a law requiring school boards to negotiate with staff regarding hours of work and benefits.
Right. Right. You had collective bargaining at that point, right?
So I said, I better get on and negotiate.
Right.
So I did. And I stayed on it every year. And I left in 79. And I had been the spokesman for the last 5 contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued my education. And in 72, I convinced the school board, school administration, that they could provide private education during the school day without any added cost compared to the program they were providing. So I had full-time driver in for 4 years before they. My teaching schedule in that setting was I would go to school at 12 o'clock, noon, and I would have 2 hours of teaching and 1 hour of planning. And then after the school day ended, I had 3 hours of driving, which made up my 5 hours of commitment. But anyhow, by 76, we had a new superintendent.
Let's take a quick break.
Before we continue, we'd like to share a resource that may be helpful to veterans and their families. The Battle Buddy app from vetlifetoday.org is designed to connect veterans with support, resources, and a community that understands their experiences. If you or a veteran you know could benefit from those resources, we encourage you to download the Battle Buddy app and learn more at vetlifetoday.org.
And his thinking didn't include that. So driver ed was dropped from the regular school day. Well, of course, with tenure, they had to find a teaching position for me. Turned out to be remedial math.
Oh.
And, that's quite a shock. From physics in the higher level math. And it's a lot of work. Those people don't want to be there.
Right.
And so we left in 79. That occurred in 76.
So after 13 years in Portland, then or 15 years.
I had, by the time I left 15.
Yeah, 15 years.
So in that 3-year period, at the lower teaching level of responsibility, I said to Kathy, I can outweight this superintendent. Superintendents come and go.
Right. But the staff is pretty steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, I can outweigh him. Well, about the second of those 3 years, I said, I can't outweigh him. We're going to have to go. Now, during that period of time, we wanted to buy a home. And we had advanced in the planning that we were going to buy this particular home. Turned out the builder did not finish it. I don't know why. We selected the carpet, everything. I think he had financial problem, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he would not finish it. And during our anxiety, time of anxiety, we received an invitation from a realtor representing a company in New Mexico to come to a dinner and listen to a presentation. You're not forced to do anything.
Right. Right, but you got to watch that presentation to get the dinner, right?
So we went to that. I don't even remember what we ate.
Uh-huh.
But anyhow, the presentation was done well. And we decided that we would buy some land out there for our future retirement. And we had 6 months to look at the land, and if we were dissatisfied, complete refund. So we decided we'll go out there over our Christmas, New Year's vacation and look at it. So we did that. You were driving cross country. We had a 1966 car, 76.
Uh-huh.
So we had a good car to make that trip. But anyhow, going across country with a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, months old baby who was still on heated food. And we lost in the Hot Wheels cars in a motel, I think in Illinois. On the way out, that broke his heart. So on the way back, we have to stop. We did, and we found it.
Well,
Under the bed.
there you go. There you go.
But that was a memorable trip.
Uh-huh.
And the weather was so bad crossing the panhandle of Oklahoma, Will Rogers Freeway. I think we drove that freeway at about 25 miles an hour.
Wow.
We got into whatever the next city is there. And Kathy said, take those boys and go somewhere. I need some peace and quiet. The boys and I went to a bowling alley where they could run around it.
Yeah, good for them. Oh, so did you end up building in New Mexico then?
So we got to New Mexico and looked at the land, and we asked a bunch of questions. We ended up deciding to trade the land, trade the plot for a different plot, such that when you look out the front of the house, you can see the mountains in the background, Sandy Mountain. Cost us a lot more money.
Right, of course.
But we traded.
Yeah.
While we were there, we took the children up the tram, up the side of the mountain, saw the goats on the other side. The boys still remember that.
Yeah.
And they were not very old.
Right.
It was a memorable trip for us. We'd never been out of Michigan.
Well, that's quite a trip if you've never been out of Michigan before. Yeah.
When we came back, and then before we left Portland in '79, we bought some additional land out there, stayed unseen. And we still own that. The first lot we have sold. We have no intention of retiring.
Right.
But there's no way that we can sell it and get our money out of it. The taxes on it are very small. So we've continued to pay the taxes. Eventually they'll go to the children. What I'm concerned about, we're concerned about it. If they don't pay the taxes, then it'll be taken from them. So we'll work that out.
Right.
When we decided to leave, made a commitment. During the last school year, we were in Portland. I sent resumes out to job vacancies that were listed in New Mexico. Our goal was to try to get something that is relatively close to our land. And so I scheduled 4 interviews right after school ended in June. And we flew out. Kathy went with me because she has to be considered in any decision.
Oh, yeah.
And we went through the four interviews. I thought the interviews went well, but there was no job offer.
Gosh.
We went back home. I said, well, I have to do better. So I scheduled 4 more interviews for early August. Now, one of the characteristics that I had negotiated when I was on that team was that we already were to be paid for our unused vacation time. But I had negotiated we would also be paid for 1/2 of unused sick time. Well, as we were getting ready to leave, I was counting on that amount of money to finance our move. And we were required by law to notify the school district. I think it was like 4 weeks before the start of the next year.
Yeah.
And so I had turned in my termination before I even had a job.
Oh, my God.
Kathy wasn't too happy about it. I said, I'm a hard worker. I can get a job. Don't worry about it.
Right.
So anyhow, when the first of the interview was coming up, we planned this. So we would drive out. I would drive out alone. And I scheduled the interview 2 on each of consecutive days. And 1 in the morning, and then 1 nearby in the afternoon, with driving time between. And then 2 more the next day. At night, I got to drive to a new area of the state. But that's okay. Well, got to the first interview, they offered me a job. It was a pretty good assignment.
Yeah.
So I thought about that. What the heck am I going to do? So I decided, and I told them, I have 3 more interviews. I owe them the honor of appearing there.
Yeah.
I scheduled on Thursday and Friday. I said, on Monday, I will call you and let you know my final decision. So, every place offered a job. So, here I am, no job.
And now you got 4.
In June, and my final determination was simply too early in the year. They had a lot of time. So I got back to the plan was to leave the car I had at the airport, fly home, because the plan was I'll drive a rental truck with our belongings.
Right.
Kathy will drive a pickup camper with the family. Got back to the airport, called Kathy, filled her in through those two places, called it open position. So now I've got 6 offers.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I took the one which was the best pay and the second best assignment.
Uh-huh.
So,
You loaded everybody up and headed to New Mexico then, huh?
yeah. So I flew home, and the last August was, we tried to sell our house with a neighbor, and we had bought. Let me see, I never touched it. We had bought a home, and with some handyman skills that I acquired on the farm, remodeled it, sold it, made money on my effort, bought another home, big home, beautiful home. It was over 100 years old. But it needed work. We even knew it had a leaky roof. And 2-story house. I said, I can do that. Sure. And we made money on that too. When we were leaving there, we had sold it in that last month. So we knew the realtor really well. And so we left everything in his hands. And we started out. Well, that was a fun journey.
Oh, I'll bet.
2 trucks.
Bunch of kids, 2 trucks. Must have been a lot of fun.
Kathy was following me. And at that time, Ryder had yellow trucks.
Yeah.
And so it was easy to spot me. She lost me in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So when I went in my traffic safety, I had developed really good skills at using my mirrors. So when I realized she wasn't back there, I decided I'd just pull off, stay right here, wait till she catches me. With a yellow truck like that, it's easy to find me. And she did, we continued. And we stayed at a couple of campgrounds along the way. Of course, we had that camper truck. It even minimized expenses.
Right.
So anyhow, we got into New Mexico and
Got into New Mexico when you put your goods in a storage unit? Is that what you've done? Okay. And so now you're house hunting.
yes, and so I began teaching, and we're living in a camper truck. Truck camper, I should say. And so Kathy and the realtor every day are searching for a home for us. And in the morning, kids are all getting ready for school. I'm getting ready to go teach.
Right.
In a small camper.
That couldn't have been easy.
It was hectic. Anyhow, I'm teaching math there. And the first day, we had a meeting of the math department, big school district. So our grades were 8 and 9. And then there was a senior high, 10, 11, and 12. We were called mid-high. So on the first day at this meeting, I made some friendships with the other math teachers. It's fortunate. So when we find a home, these two guys said, we can bring a truck with a Tommy lift in the back of it to get your appliances. We get the appliances out of storage, take them to this home that we're buying. Remember, we haven't sold the Portland.
Right.
And so that worked out really well. Those are two good friends out of my 2 years.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
So how long did you stay in New Mexico?
I stayed there just 2 years.
Just 2 years?
Yeah. During the second year, at the end of the first year, there was stuff going.
Yeah.
Our population was made up of probably 85% of the students were of Mexican descent. Most of them within the last 15 to 20 years. And there were times I would call sometimes with ways that they could help their son or daughter perform. Sometimes it was about discipline.
Right.
Anyhow, there were times that the parents would crusade me over the phone. I said, oh God, I don't need this.
Right.
And at the end of the first year, my assistant principal said, Jerry, I have one other teacher that gives too many T's and E's. I won't have a thing. I said, whoa. Putting the writing on the wall.
Right.
So, when I come back the second year, I find that he's not there. I never found out what happened. Didn't matter to me. But the job was very, very taxing.
Yeah.
I can understand the student's point of view. At that time, I couldn't. But they didn't want to be there. And they made it difficult for me. And truly, I had a difficult position in terms of building relationships with them because I didn't speak the Spanish names properly. I couldn't even do that. Couldn't even reach some kind of a stable start.
Right.
Like Hinojosa, I would start with something like something way off from that.
Right.
And it was later in life I learned you can't motivate someone else. They have to motivate themselves. All you can do is control the environment that will help them motivate themselves.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, during the second year, at the beginning of the second year, I said, I got to search for something else. So I started putting out resumes again. And there were more in New Mexico, but I wanted to go to some other state after that experience. So it turns out one of the job openings was at Texas A&M for a teaching assistant. And I submitted a resume. First thing I know, Texas A&M representative called me, the director of a particular program. They wanted to fill the position. And he said, Jerry, Don Smith, Michigan State, recommends you.
Wow.
So we had a communication
Yeah.
right over the phone. I did go in. The teaching assignment, it was a teaching assistant position. And the assignment was motorcycle safety teacher preparation program. And of course, I had taken my motorcycle safety program from Don Smith. And then I taught a program that the Highway Traffic Safety Association funded in Portland. And then I taught another one. But it was not, I don't remember the funding, while I was in New Mexico.
So you had a pretty good history of this.
Well, not very much. I didn't have authorization to teach teacher preparation. I didn't have that level. That was never even considered by them or me initially. Wonderful assignment. They were adults, students, university students.
Right. So they wanted to be there.
That's right.
That's different, a little different, right?
Yes. They wanted to be there. In addition, it's an enjoyable activity.
Right. It's something they wanted to do.
So that was great. Now, there were some less good things to the program. I had to go out to motorcycle dealers and solicit their putting cycles into our program at no cost to us. And I did all of that before the school year started. But it was okay. The year went well. Motorcycle Safety Foundation visited Texas A&M during maybe, I don't remember when, sometime during the year. And I met two personnel from there that I had known by name on my written communication. Anyhow, kind of a blunder on my part. The lady that was there, I called her the wrong name.
Oh.
I only learned it later, considerably later. But it turned out there were no repercussions. But during the second semester, my director learned that Motorcycle Safety Foundation informed him Jerry has not had the preparation that is needed for teaching instructor. And I learned later that my director went to bed for me. Said, You mean you're not going to certify these instructors after they go through the training program? Not only are you punishing, but you're punishing them.
Yeah.
They said, go ahead, finish the year, but don't start it. So, the next year, I had assignment teaching driver ed and teacher program, which I had penciled,
Yeah.
including 2 degrees, master's. Of course, what I was doing there was I was teaching half-time and studying half-time, working on my PhD. And it's good. So at the end of the second year, they said, Jerry, I would like to have you consider this. They have, all states, all schools, have what they call research opportunities. And it might be an organization of the state or somebody else wants something done in research. So they'll ask directors, do you have anybody that would want to do this, qualify for this? And Texas had just passed a safety restraint program law. And they wanted some research on the effectiveness of it. And it was before Michigan had it.
Yeah.
And so my director offered this opportunity to me. So I wrote a proposal for research, had him critique it and help me better it, and submitted it. And I was awarded a grant by the Texas Safety Association to conduct that research. They paid me a salary which was better than what I got on the assistant job. There was money to hire some people to carry out this research. And not too many restraints. So I said, when they made the offer, I said, absolutely. So they took me out of the classroom. And it also gave me opportunity to gain some experience in research. And so that was good. Then
So how long did you stay at Texas?
I stayed there for 4 years.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this particular research project came the 4th year. The 3rd year was different. The 3rd year was one of the instructors that I had for a class worked for Texas Research Institute, another branch of the university. And anyhow, he said, at the end of my 2nd year, I had chosen my research activity. And it was to compare the driving experience following 2 things. One is students that receive driver education instruction, and the other group was drivers or people that were licensed to drive with a hardship license.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to compare the driving experience following being licensed to drive. And so this instructor said to me, "We're going to do a $100,000 project. And it's going to involve the same people that you want to work with for your PhD proposal." He said, "I'll make you an offer. You can work with us while we do this project for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're done, we'll give you the student records."
For your PhD. Yeah.
It would have cost me thousands of dollars.
Right.
So I also then, by having that experience with them, gained the opportunity to see how proposals are developed
Mm-hmm.
in the path to implementation.
And so that helped you in that project with you then. Yeah. Yeah.
Then in the fourth year, because that ended after 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
then in the fourth year I did that other Texas Safety Association.
Yeah. So then after all of that, then what happens after the fourth year?
During that fourth year, when I had that funded project,
Right.
in February of that year, Don Smith called me, said, "Jerry, they're going to open a position before too long in the Department of Education. Would you consider coming to Michigan, taking the tests necessary to get on the roll, to be eligible to apply for that position?"
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So I did that. I came up for 4 hours of testing in Grand Rapids
Mm-hmm.
to get on, to be eligible, to be on the roll, so that when they open that position, I'd be eligible to apply. I did. In August, they contacted me for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
I flew up, took the interview in the Department of Education. And forgiveness.
So you came up and you took you did your interview for the Department of Education. So did you end up getting the job?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't know, a week to 10 days after the interview.
Yeah.
Because I went back. But after that, they contacted me. And I got a couple of, there are Don Smith and a couple of others there that I'm
Mm-hmm.
pushing. And so they called me, offered me the job. I would start on September 9th. Turns out to be my date of birth.
Right. Right. And this is 19. What year was this then? 19.
It was in 85.
1985. Okay.
Yeah. So, as soon as I knew I had the job, Kathy and I had to plan what we're.
Right.
So, Carolyn, Brian and David have graduated from high school down there. Carolyn is now a senior, will be a senior through the school starts. So we had to consider the idea. She would like to graduate with her classmates.
Right.
We decided that I would come up, we would come up, and I would stay here. Kathy would go back, and she and the children would come up in June.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. We rented a place. And now, I graduated. No, I'm sorry. I finished all of my responsibilities except writing my dissertation at the university. So I went down to spend Christmas with them. And then in June, I flew down and rented another Ryder truck. Trip to Michigan. Now we have Brian and David, our drivers also.
Yeah.
Let me see. One of them rode with me, and one of them, well, traded off riding with me or with Kathy.
Okay.
And the other one drove the car that we had. That's a car that we had in Michigan. Anyhow, it was from Texas back here. Now, when we came up in September for me to start the job, Kathy and I had decided we're going to look around at some apartment buildings so that when it's time for them to come up in June, we can talk on the phone. It can be meaningful because she has seen that apartment.
Right. Right.
And so we did that. And then once we came up here, we ended up accepting a place near Waverly High School because our youngest daughter would be in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
And then from there, we would start searching for a home. And that worked out really well. And then the first home we bought was on the street east of the Myers Market, down there by Waverly. I think it's in
Elmwood. Elmwood Drive, yeah.
And the reason we bought that is because you could easily walk to
Yes.
like block across. Well, turned out to be not a very good location. I say not a very good location. Two instances, one on the basement there. Pretty low area. But anyhow, we stayed there and made the best of it. And then I was at the Department of Education for between 12 and 13 years.
Okay, so right up into 98, towards the end of the 90s then.
Yes. April 1st of 97,
Uh-huh.
retired.
Okay.
Now, something about that position.
Yeah, if you want to just kind of give me briefly, what you did there, and then we can talk about what you did after retirement.
Okay. That Department of School Management Services within the Department of Education had a number of services. One of them was regulate and consult river education programs. And at that time, river education was required in every state, every high school. So I was involved there. And I had a co-worker with many years of experience. It's real bad. But anyhow, turned out that he and I had a lot of differing opinions on how to educate drivers. But some of his were good too.
Yeah.
Some of them I disagreed. But we visited schools quite a lot, but there was a lot of office work, which is okay. All driver education teachers needed to meet certain requirements. It was our office that granted the teaching approval.
Okay.
Not a teaching certificate, but an approval. Certificate requires vocal hours. It gave me the experience of writing from beginning to end administrative rules. Rules that regulate the entire teaching process of private education. That was good. At that time, the driver education in Michigan was sick compared to competency. It was called competency. There were some programs that were as little as 10 hours of classroom instruction, 2 hours of driving instruction. The goal for us was 30 hours of class, 6 hours of driving is a minimum. During John Englow's tenure here, as governor, we finally got that changed. There was a legislator by the name of Daniel Gustafson from Williamston. His daughter, not in driver but shortly after being licensed.
Right.
On some curving, rolling roads out there somewhere. And so he was willing to write a bill to change Michigan's program. So he called on myself and a lady by the name of Dr. Pat Waller from the University of Michigan, Transportation Research Institute. She and I provided the content requirements that would go into his bill. And we met with him many times. And it was introduced into the legislature. I'm thinking probably in the in the 92-3 legislative session, or else the 3-4, something like that.
Right.
Something like that. And it was debated. It's a very controversial change, you know. But there was a kind of dissatisfaction with the programs in existence, just inadequate. But anyhow, it didn't pass. So when we got to the new legislative session, he and we met again a number of times, tried to remedy the disagreement with what we'd experienced in the previous. Reintroduced. And after much debate, Governor Engler said, I won't sign this bill into law unless we allow high schools to drop the requirement. And this was a pretty big change.
So basically he was saying you can put these rules in place and they either have to use these rules or they drop driver's ed from their curriculum.
Well, he wouldn't sign the bill into law unless the rules, the administrative rules, allowed high schools to drop the program after one more year.
Okay.
There had to be a transition year. And that would give, there were already in existence commercial driver ed programs.
Right.
But they were not very plentiful.
Right.
This would give an opportunity for an expansion of that segment. And but one of the biggest thorns in my side that we took out of the original was that drivers could have passengers that were their own age. I fought that tooth and nail. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But anyhow, and to get it passed in the second session, we dropped the requirement. When I was at Texas A&M and teaching in the driver ed segment there, my assignment was supervising the practice teaching of the classroom and also the range. On the range, we operated about up to 20 cars at one time. Huge range. And we communicated with those drivers with an AM frequency right into the radio. And we had one driver, no passengers. We didn't want any distractions.
Right.
And so and we had no accident. Great performance, great learning outcome. So that I really fought that idea of allowing anybody as passengers. Too many distractions. the main response you get from drivers after a crash is, "I didn't see you."
Right.
They're distracted for whatever reason.
Right.
The second one is, "I saw you, but I didn't think you would do what you did."
Right. Right. Probably because the other person was distracted at that point.
Now, that may be because they didn't have enough knowledge
Mm-hmm.
to take the action they needed, regardless of what.
So here's the interesting thing is that once schools were allowed to drop it from their curriculum, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just, because I remember Everett High School had a driving range, Waverly High School had a driving range. They all had really, I thought, good programs.
Eventually,
Yeah. But then they just got rid of everything.
yeah, they couldn't compete.
Right.
Now the cost went up also. That contributed to that.
Yeah.
The large school districts in the large cities were the most frequent locations of dropping the program.
Yes.
The small schools and the out in the country schools, there still are some out there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's probably only a fifth of the licensed novice drivers that go through one of those school programs.
Right. Right. Very small percentage.
Now, since about the 1970s, when I was still in Portland,
Mm-hmm.
I joined the State Association of Driver Educators. And except for a period when I was out of state,
Right.
I still am today member of that group. And I'm on the executive board. Was on the executive board many, many years back. The point that I want to make here, I guess, is that that group doesn't really have any real ability to make change.
Mm-hmm.
It is always a case of convince somebody to make a change. Now, after I left the Department of Education in '97, that office was shifted to the Department of State.
Mm-hmm.
So they not only controlled the licensing, as they did then, but they now control the education.
Mm-hmm.
And that rumbling was going on before I retired. I said, I'm opposed to that because you will have non-educators making decisions on the educational quality. And sure enough,
Yeah. So you retired in April of '97.
I retired on April 1 of
Yeah.
1997.
What did you do after that? What happened after that?
About the first 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
I grew more and more restless.
Yeah, you got to have a plan when you retire, Jerry. Got to have a plan.
So anyhow, after 3 years roughly, Lanesburg High School, coordinator of driver,
Uh-huh.
called and said, Jerry, I need instructors. Can you help me?
So you went kind of right back into education, sort of.
I helped him find one.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I need more help. Will you instruct?
Oh, my.
So I said, finally, I talked to Kathy that, yeah, we'll find a place for them. So I worked in their summer program for, I think, 4 years.
Okay.
Now, first year I did both classroom and in-car teaching. And after that, the director of the program said, Jerry, I'm not teaching all the classes. You can do some driving if you want to, but other people can do the driving. So, and we were running. The first year, I think we had 3 classes followed by 2 more. Because things were good. Pretty good number of students.
Yeah.
And only a summer program. So then I taught all the classes. And I enjoyed the classroom. And it was, the reason I did is I had a lot of past experience to help me do a good job. But I also had the physics. And when you talk about acceleration, deceleration, force of impact, all of those kind of things, and physics
Yeah.
was helpful.
Yeah. Because you understood what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So you did that for a few years, and then
And
what?
then the superintendent at Langsburg decided he would drop it from the school program. And I tried to talk him out of it, because I knew him kind of well by that time.
Yeah.
I tried to convince him why keeping it was the good choice. But anyhow, he said it's a scheduling headache. And so then after that, a very good friend of mine ran a teacher preparation program commercially. It was approved by the Secretary. And I always thought of her as a quality person, quality educator. And in fact, when she was working on her master's, I don't even remember what year, she needed a master's to be able to do something expanding her business. So she said, Jerry, I can't do this. I need some help. And she said, I don't know anything about research. How to gather the data, how to analyze the data, and then draw the conclusions. You've been through all that stuff. So I did help her and completed her master's. Now, with the master's, she didn't have to do a dissertation, but she had either to do a mini research type of thing. Didn't have to be the same caliber.
Capstone project is what they call it now, but yeah.
Anyhow, I did help her do that. And last year, I turned over to her the copy I kept of all the work I did.
Wow.
And so that was good. But anyhow, she said, Jerry, my classes are so large, I need somebody else in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
She said, no, one more thing. Secretary of State came out with a rule. They had to have a master in order to teach.
Mm-hmm.
That was teacher preparation. That's why she said, if you will join me in the classroom teaching with your PhD, cover this requirement.
Yeah.
So I worked for her, not all classes, but the ones that had large numbers. I think I had to be on her on documents that she sent.
Right. Right. So how long did you do that?
I don't remember for sure.
Oh, okay.
4 years. Now, the reason that that requirement came into existence, I think it took effect in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
was they wrote new regulations for teacher preparation of driver teachers. And that was a requirement.
Okay. I got you. So when did you finally retire and stop working altogether?
I don't know for sure. I guess probably about 2010.
Okay. All right. And so, oh,
No, there really was another characteristic that I haven't even touched upon, and that is, as I was preparing to retire from Vietnam,
mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to have something to generate income beyond retirement. A good friend of mine said, Jerry, I'd like to show you a business, show you the characteristics. And that was to become an independent business owner affiliated with the Amway Corporation. I looked at his presentation. I don't know how many hours it took. And I said, I know that this is a profitable plan.
Mm-hmm.
That was my math coming through. So that was in the winter of '95. The reason I know that date is because David was getting married in April of '95. And so I told this gentleman, yes, I would like to consider this business. I'd like to enter. But I said, we have this trip planned to Japan. And so upon my return from there, we'll get together again. And that's where I started my Amway business.
Okay.
I made many thousands of dollars. Let me see. At one time, I don't even remember the year, we had 28 couples registered in our business,
Mm-hmm.
doing the same thing we were doing. And although we weren't getting any of their income, one of the business that they did had a factor that flowed through our business.
Right.
It's the multi-level.
Right.
Some other major and productive multi-level, let me see, what's that, Mary Kay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
Yeah. There's a few that have been around for quite a few years, but
Yes.
some come and go.
The Amway Corporation begun in 1959.
Mm-hmm.
And the last I knew, they were doing like 18 billion per year in business.
Yeah, it's a big corporation for sure. Yeah.
Now, the most productive segment of our business in that was in the farm industry.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard me talk about excess vitamins. I take a ton of vitamins. That's why I'm still living at this age, probably. The only prescription I have is a nasal spray.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me when we were at breakfast the other day. Yeah.
But I take vitamins. And I'm not sorry that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But because I have had good health
Right.
all my life. But my balance, I don't know if you want this in. My balance is really poor.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 2 years or so, I've fallen many times, sometimes rather severe injuries.
Yeah.
I fell yesterday, and
Yeah, we were talking about that before your interview. Yeah. So Jerry, we've been talking for almost 3 hours now.
Really?
Yes. And I've learned a lot about you, and so the people are going to listen to this. What I would like to do is ask you one more question as we kind of wrap up the interview. And it's a question I ask everyone, but I'm interested to hear your answer because you've done so many different things in your life. You've accomplished a lot. You've raised a family. You made changes that changed the way people learn. And then, you've shown people how to take care of themselves because, as we said before, you don't take prescription medication. You have vitamins and you get around well. And, it's 2026. So that would make you 95 this year?
I will be 95
In September 9th. Yeah. So with all that said, I'm just curious, for someone who's listening to this years from now, what message would you like to leave them with? What lesson would you like people to take away from your life and from our conversation?
Okay. The main thought is you should learn all of your lifetime, not just a segment. That's the main message, I think. And I guess I would give that more meaning by saying What you do depends upon what you know. And what you know, people can't take away from you. So, never turn down an opportunity to learn something. And before you leave, I have you take a look at my bookcase. Most of my books, and even today, with exceptions, I read 15 minutes or more. And most of my reading is self-improvement. Nothing on fantasy or stories or something like that. You know, if you're going to spend some time reading, read something that's beneficial to you. Some of the books that I'm having to give away as I approach the end, books that I will give to somebody like Catholic Charities over here. They have a home over on the streets. And I went to a presentation some time ago, and they welcome books. And some of those places have residents living there, and especially where there are young residents, books that can improve their lives. As far as I'm concerned, much in demand. Most of those people are looking for improvement. And I guess I would also say, regarding decision making, do the right thing. Not necessarily the popular thing.
All right.
There will be enough other people doing the popular thing, and I think the right thing.
Thank you, and thank you for spending your afternoon with me today. It's been enlightening, and I really appreciate all that you've done. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Being a veteran has also been beneficial to me. It gave me the opportunity for Kathy and I to plan a burial in advance in one of the federal homes.
Yes. Yeah.
As well as pre-plan her funeral through one of the agencies.
There's a lot of benefit to being a veteran, that's for sure. Thank you for listening to the Veterans Archives podcast and for helping us honor the service and sacrifice of our nation's veterans. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with others so more people can hear these important stories. To learn more about our mission, watch additional veteran interviews, or find out how to record a veteran story, please visit veteransarchives.org. And if you or a veteran you know needs support or resources, we encourage you to download the Battle Buddy app from vetlifetoday.org. You can also hear Veterans Archives on Wreaths Across America Radio every Thursday at 5 p.m.